Oh, wow. There is so much fun to talk about relative to what the Rangers have been doing. 4 straight walk-off wins at home. It's an historic record that the Rangers have done. However, not all the news, as we mentioned in the tease to the program, is good. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan here, Abby Jones here. Jeff Wilson joins us from Globe Line Field. And before any of us go too far, we want to get to the news. Corey Seager was placed on the 10-day injured list today. He's got hip soreness, and he's going to be evaluated, of course. Let's hear sort of the tone of how Corey feels about that.
Yeah, obviously frustrating. You want to be out there with your guys, starting to finally play some good baseball, and it's not the time you want to miss. So definitely frustrating. You can't miss 2 off seasons, right? Like you got to be healthy and get back into working out and get back into shape. Didn't really have a build up last year coming into the season, so it's something that you need to have going into the next. It's just kind of been bothering me the last couple of weeks, and just kind of came to a head.
Yeah. It's
tough news.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's difficult. None of these guys like being off the field. It's also wise, Jeff, isn't it, to make sure, first of all, what it is, determine if he needs surgery, and get that done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, the tests are pending. He hasn't gone yet to see a doctor. The hip injury you often hear about is called a hip impingement. And a lot of times those will require surgery. There's all kinds of little muscles and tendons down there, bursa sacs, and all kinds of things that can go wrong. The hope, he hopes he plays again. I asked him that directly, and he said, I hope so, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So hopefully within a few days they'll know. In the meantime, Josh Smith will play shortstop most of the time. Jonathan Ornelas and Ezekiel Duran could get games there. But, nobody can replace Corey Seager's offense. 30 home runs, 846 OPS. And if you look at, what he did since May 3rd, I think it was, 296 average and a 950 OPS with 28 home runs. So terrific stuff from him. And really, he's going to be the Rangers MVP. He is their best player. He showed that yet again, and this was despite not having an off season and a spring training. And I think that's the impetus here for doing this move now is get it checked out, see what's wrong. If something needs to be done, get it done now, as opposed to January 30th when he had his hernia surgery last year, and then completely missed spring training. So try to get him as much of a off season and a build up as is possible. Even he mentioned how important it is there in that clip. He realizes what he missed and how it affected him to start the season.
Jeff, we've been around at the clubhouse the last few days, but what are kind of like the vibes now that this Seager news is, kind of talk amongst the players, and they were just starting to get, a little winning streak again. I feel like vibes were good. Vibes are good. So what's the temperature right now in the clubhouse?
Well, they always know before we do, so they've had time to process it. Sometimes like a trade will catch guys off guard and make them wonder what's going on. But I'm sure that they knew about this, that this is a possibility here yesterday. And it just so happened that the decision was made today. So, it's a blow, but I think if the Rangers were a playoff team, I bet he isn't on the injured list, and B, I bet that the reaction would be a lot more severe, dramatic, whatever you want to say. But where they are in the season, I think everybody understands that this is the best move for the club.
Hey, Jeff, in the conversation with Corey, has he been playing hurt, right? Or when did this begin to manifest itself?
Yeah, he said a couple weeks,
Mm-hmm.
but he said kind of, he was off Friday after the doubleheader. He played the first game, I think it was, and DH in the second game.
DH.
And then Friday was off. Saturday played the field. Sunday DH. And I think Sunday was also in the field. DH day Monday. So that made you maybe wonder a little bit. Then yesterday's off day, it was brought up with Bruce Bochy in the pregame. It said workload management. He's not 100%, but who is these, this time of the year?
Yeah.
But I think that he finally realized what the best move is. Yeah, he's tough. I mean, he played the last month last season and all the postseason with a sports hernia. Not easy to do, and he was terrific. He was the World Series MVP, and hit the dramatic home run in Game 7 of the ALCS. So we all know what he did. Hurt. He could probably be out there, but again, with very, very little on the line, it doesn't make sense.
So the Rangers replace him on the big league roster with Sandro. Is it Fabian?
Yep.
Fabian.
I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced, but
okay.
It's something like that. And it's a good story. He signed as a minor league free agent. He used to be a Giants top prospect. He signed before last year as a minor league free agent. Had a really, really good year at Round Rock and was in the discussion to get called up late in the year if something were to happen to, say, Adolis Garcia, which it did ultimately, and Evan Carter was the choice. But Sandro Fabian was mentioned prominently. His strength is hitting left-handed pitching. With Robbie Grossman no longer on the team, there's an immediate need for something like that. But also, he was in big league spring training. He's in the organization. The Rangers are looking ahead to 2025, and he's one of the guys that they want to see. I think that ultimately, now that he's on the 40-man roster, he could probably clear waivers, I would think. But other players are going to get rotated in. Dustin Harris, for instance, has a chance to get called up. He's on the 40-man roster. Blaine Krim, who I'm leading the charge on Blaine Krim.
You're his number one fan.
He needs to be in the major leagues.
Yeah.
Now, right now, there's not with Nate Lowe and Ezekiel Duran able to play first base and Justin Fosco able to play first base. There's not a spot for Krim, but I would think that at some point the Rangers are going to wiggle the roster, maneuver the roster a little bit. These guys have options. They can do something that would get Blaine Krim up, and I think that you will see him in the major leagues this month. It just may not be as soon as I would like, or as soon as he would like.
Yeah, and important to note, the Rangers only have seven outfielders right now. So
yeah,
we talked about the roster move.
Yeah, and that, again, that's a great spot for him. Yeah, and a great opportunity, like Jeff says, for the Rangers to look at him. So today, also some news that's about to come regarding Elvis, right? Today, like the news dropped today that the news was going to drop Friday, basically.
Yeah, Elvis Andrus is going to retire. He hasn't played this season. He tried to make the Diamondbacks roster out of spring training, signed late. Went like 2 for 17 or 2 for 19. Didn't make the club, and curiously, in the first week of the season, their shortstop Peromo was injured, so they probably could have used Elvis at that point. But he was working out initially, hoping for an opportunity. He has 3 kids, a loving wife, a good family situation. Elvis Andrus has made a ton of money in baseball. He's done a lot. He's cemented his place in Rangers lore. And so Friday, he's going to retire as a Ranger. There will be an afternoon press conference with Michael Young and Moran Washington, who conveniently is going to be in town with the Angels. So it should be a fun time. I'm sure it's hard for Elvis, but he really likes being a dad. He likes being around his kids all the time now. And so that's coming up. So I guess it's a day of big shortstop news for the Rangers.
Yeah, it is. And again, Elvis with basically 14, 15-year career. I mean, that's an unbelievable career. Of course, he started as a rookie. He was already in the starting lineup as a rookie. Angel, happy to see Elvis retire as a Ranger.
Aren't we all?
Jeff, yeah, Abby and I were kind of talking about it before. I mean, like, who else? Of course he was going to retire a Ranger, yeah?
Yeah, right. He wasn't going to retire as a White Sox.
Right, yeah.
I don't think that was going to happen.
Numbers aren't pointing there, yeah.
He made his debut in 2009. The Rangers shook up the roster to get him on. They moved Michael Young, who just won a Gold Glove, and moved him to third base. And then Elvis made an immediate impact, though. He changed the way the team played. He brought some youthful energy to a team that really hadn't had that for a few years. Since Michael Young and Teixeira and Hank Blaylock were all young and good, they were aging, and he gave them some young life in the postseason. He was great. He fit Ron Washington's mold. Ron Washington wanted to win with defense and creating havoc on the bases. Elvis did that. He was an all-star 2 times. He's the career leader in stolen bases for this team. For a while there, considering how young he was when he debuted, he was a threat for 3,000 hits. I really think, though, that the broken arm in 2018 altered the course of his career. He was coming off that great 2017 when he nearly hit 300, hit 20 home runs, was the Rangers Player of the Year, was off to a great start for 2 weeks in the 2018 season, and he got hit by a pitch by Kenyon Middleton, who was pitching for the Angels at the time, broke his arm just below the elbow, and that really he was never the same player again.
Yeah, that was really sad. And Elvis, I mean, you're right. The memories that he was just having a great year that year, and it was just a devastating blow to him and one he never recovered from. We'd like to see the comments from those folks who have weighed in, like
memories of Elvis,
about the Teixeira trade and the memories of Elvis. Feel free, drop your favorite memory of Elvis and let us know what you remember about this great player who really was like a star from day one. And I'm like you, Jeff. I thought, this kid's playing at 19 or 20 years old. He is going to be, the next. And he was essentially that for the Rangers, but not that 3,000 hit club. Not quite what maybe we thought at the very beginning of his career.
Yeah, the power came late, and T.R. Sullivan, who the great beat writer who's in retirement, he was writing for my old website, Rangers Today, and will be writing for DLLS beginning this week. He's got a story getting ready to go, but he has a story on Elvis, and I'm going to retweet it here in a little bit. But it's talked about when Elvis came up, it was kind of the rise of all these shortstops, and people thought that he was the next one in line, and the Rangers certainly paid him like that. I think they thought that the power would come sooner than it did. But it didn't, and ultimately the weight of the contract and where the Rangers were in 2021 is what led to his trade to the A's, and that trade produced Jonah Heim. So hey, it helped get the Rangers a World Series. I think that's obviously going to be the biggest regret for Elvis and Beltre and guys of that ilk, that they never won the World Series. But they went. They had the greatest teams in Rangers history until about 10 months ago.
I was about to say, one of them.
Yeah, and credit being given to the Teixeira trade, which is how the Rangers got Elvis from the Atlanta organization. That Teixeira trade, as someone put on the screen, basically changed the entire face, the trajectory of this franchise. There it is. Link rocks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Link.
Yeah. It did. In 2017 at the trade deadline, the Rangers had offered Teixeira an extension to stay. He rejected it. Scott Boras is his agent, and the Braves were in the playoff hunt. And for 2 years, they got 2 years of Mark Teixeira. Great. Didn't re-sign him, but the Rangers got Elvis Andrus, Neftali Feliz, who was a Rookie of the Year, Matt Harrison, an All-Star, Jared Saltamaki, that didn't work out, and Bo Jones, who never made it to the major leagues at the Rangers or period. And Ron Mayhew was in that trade, also went to the Braves. But you're right. I mean, it was a franchise-altering move in a year when the Rangers also had those like 5 draft picks and maybe the first 100, something like that. They used those mostly for trade purposes. You know, Michael Maine was the first round pick that year. Him and Blake Bevan, who were both traded in 2010 for Benji Molina and the Cliff Lee deal. Julio Borbon was one of those guys. Tommy Hunter, who pitched in the postseason for the Rangers. So I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. I might be leaving out Mitch Moreland, and if I am, I'm sorry. I can't remember the 5 off the top of my head, but that was a formative year. That was a kind of a rebuild for the Rangers. 2007 they were terrible. 2008 a little better. 2009 finished above 500, and then 2010 and 11 we all know what happened then.
Yeah. It's fantastic. I like Scooper too, and this will be it on the Elvis talk. But I love your memories.
We'll do a whole
we'll
episode,
do more.
maybe a week of Elvis.
Friday we'll do more on Elvis.
Yeah.
But Scooper says, hey, my favorite moments are his little brother moments with Adrian Beltre, and I wanted to bring that up. We always give Adrian, so much credit for having so much fun in the game. But in that case, it takes 2 to tango, right?
Elvis brings it out.
Yes, if Elvis isn't playing along,
he doesn't touch his head, he's not going to laugh.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Elvis gets a lot of credit for his joy. And you mentioned it, Jeff. He brought it from the get-go, and then he and Adrian just played off each other beautifully.
Yep.
Yeah, and Adrian always talked. We heard this a couple months ago. He never came out of his shell until really he came to the Rangers. His career took off, but he felt comfortable. He was at a point in his career where he felt like he could finally let his hair down, and Elvis helped him do that. There's no question about it.
And JD and Ron Washington helped him too by saying, we don't want you to just be you. Go play like you. Be free. And that's what we got from Adrian, Hall of Famer Adrian Beltre. So fantastic.
I know. I love this walk down memory lane, but I want to talk about something current.
Yeah, well, it's a memory now. It's last night. Yeah, it's last.
Well, also, I'm talking about history.
Okay.
Bruce Bochy.
Okay, beautiful.
Bruce Bochy, going to go down as, in my humble opinion, one of the best skippers of all time. But Bruce Bochy, just amazing stuff. He is now 8th all-time career managerial wins.
Managerial wins.
2,159. It's insane stuff. We heard from him last night on The Accomplishment. Let's take a listen to what the skipper had to say.
I've been blessed, to be doing this so long. They had a nice little thing, with champagne there, and I said, "Now this is about you guys and what you've been doing here lately," and raised a glass to them. And you look back, it's a lot of games, I know, and to be able to manage this long, I know how lucky I am.
He is so great. He acts like, well, the only reason I'm, won this many games is because I've played for so long or managed for so. No, it's not just that. There's so much more to it than just longevity. He pushes all the right buttons. He pulls all the right strings, and he's just a great manager and a great guy. He brings down the heart rate of every player, every team, coach, everybody in the room. He's just he's one of the best managers in the history of the game.
No doubt. I mean, I have a lot of stories with Jim Leland.
Yeah.
So that was like my standard, but I think Bruce Bochy shattered all my expectations.
Well, and for me, the first manager I covered, Jeff, was with the Detroit Tigers in the early '80s, Sparky Anderson.
Oh yeah.
And and Sparky's in Boch's sights now
He's
as far as the list.
list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's 6. Now next is Dusty Baker, and Dusty I think is only 24 wins ahead of where Boch is right now.
Some math, but not that much.
Yeah, and so, but Boch is it's not just about longevity with him, Jeff, is it?
No, he's won 4 World Series. He's been to 5. There are even fewer managers who've won as many as 4 World Series. It's elite company he finds himself in, and all the guys above him are in the Hall of Fame. Bucky Harris, who he just passed, is in the Hall of Fame. Won 2 World Series. He was a Nationals manager. He managed the Tigers for a little while. This is like in the 1920s and 30s. Interesting note about Bucky Harris, he died on his birthday.
Oh, wow.
You
Yeah.
don't see that every day.
Happy birthday.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
maybe they threw him a surprise party and it went wrong. I don't know, but
But I love that Bochy, made it about the guys, because he was like,
Yeah.
this is really because of you.
Well,
So
I mean, that's the right thing to say, but it's also the right thing. I mean,
Yeah,
it is
no,
right.
it's valid.
Any coach, any manager will tell you, I am only as good as the
team
players
you
they
coach,
give
yeah,
me.
no doubt.
And again, there's a certain amount of getting the most out of those guys, but you can't do it. Nobody could manage.
Bochy has a system. We've talked about it.
Nobody could manage that White Sox team to a lot of victories this year, right?
well, I mean, look at Chris Woodward. What he had arguably
Oh, yeah.
2019 was his only chance. Because
Yeah.
2020 was COVID and they sold heavily. 2021 was a disaster, and 22 that team had Seager and Simeon, but it still wasn't built to win. So I always told Chris Woodward, I don't know how good of a manager you are, because you've never had a chance to manage. You've been dealing with rebuilding. So I hope he gets another chance. But you're right. I mean, Bruce Bochy's had some good teams. The rosters in San Francisco were built on pitching. He had the great pitching staff. Didn't always have a great offense there, and it's a tough ballpark to hit in anyway. So he had guys like Hunter Pence and Brandon Belt and Aubrey Huff. He did have Buster Posey, who won an MVP, but you're not. Barry Bonds wasn't on those World Series teams.
Right.
And so it's he had to win with pitching and defense, managing the bullpen, which was kind of his calling card there. But it's pretty easy to manage when Tim Lincecum and Matt Cain are giving you 7, 8, 9 innings a start. Madison Bumgarner, you can stick him into a playoff game, and he's suddenly the best pitcher who's ever lived. So, that's the foundation Bruce Bochy wants here. He's stumped by the offense, but if you ask him time and time again, he's going to say pitching and defense. Pitching and defense is going to win you a championship.
And he's never been to the postseason after winning a World Series.
It's the weirdest thing.
So he flip-flops. I mean,
yeah, that's a really
statistically
strange
speaking,
thing.
2025 should be good.
Yeah, should be another good year. They win every other year under Boch. So, Jeff, the good teams, and the Rangers are one of those, for the last 15 for sure, and maybe more, the good teams don't dwell on the bad losses, and they don't dwell on the good wins. But, man, last night was a good win. I mean, there's got to still be a tiny buzz in that clubhouse about what Wyatt Langford did last night.
Sure. And, these guys go about their business. They have some meetings when we're in the clubhouse, but you could tell they just felt good. And I think Bruce Bochy felt good. And, despite the news of the day, and, Marcus Simeon's out of the lineup today. So this is the first time that Bruce Bochy has never written in at least one of them in the lineup since he's been here. There will be some youth on the field tonight. A good test against the Yankees, a chance to win the series. Momentum, though, is only as good as the next day's starting pitcher. So we'll see what happens. But the Rangers got to feel good about themselves right now. They really do. I mean, they aren't clubbing the ball. They're making it a lot more stressful than it needs to be, but they're winning games. Ultimately, that's why you come to the ballpark every day, to win a game. And they've done that. They've done that much more than they have lost the past 2 weeks. And when you look at the standings, the Mariners are kind of coming back toward them, or you could say the Rangers are catching them, however you want to say it. It's only 3 games difference. The Astros are the only team in the West above 500, which is not good. But the Rangers still have a favorable schedule coming up. I think they have a chance, like I said, to get to 500. They definitely have a chance to pass the Mariners. They still have 7 games left against the Mariners. So once they get past the Diamondbacks, the 2 games next week, get past this Yankees game, those are really the 3 toughest games left. So they've got a chance to finish strong, even without Corey Seager. They're going to get Jacob deGrom back and Max Scherzer back. So you know what? There's a chance. There's a reason for optimism.
They had a favorable schedule too.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest of the league.
No
it was
doubt.
Like 4th ranked, easiest opponents.
No doubt. And I like Scooper's comment because it's on the list to talk about. So let's get to it right now. Josh Smith again, going back to my Detroit roots, the first guy I remember jumping over defensive backs like that was Billy Sims, right? The former Oklahoma Sooner out of Hooks, Texas. But
That's right.
Josh Smith looked like a running back.
I didn't know he had it in him.
I mean, because again, the guy falls right in front of him. Josh has to react like that, and he goes over him. It was unbelievable, Jeff. Did you talk to him?
Yeah, I did not, but I think Kennedy made a joke about him, trying to be a hurdler or something like that. But yeah, a big play. I mean, that inning, that eighth inning, and really the ninth. Carson Kelly, the guy who they got at the deadline. Hey, he got a hit that got everything started. Leody Taveras was, I thought, fortunate to steal second base. I thought if Trevino's throw had been on the money, he would have been out. So the Rangers caught a little bit of a break there. In the top of the ninth, Walter Pennington walked Juan Soto. He was supposed to get out, but then gets Aaron Judge. So
that was huge.
Probably the biggest at bat of Walt Pennington's career so far.
Yeah.
He ended up getting his first win. Yeah, something else that I don't know that was talked about a lot was that Clay Holmes pitched Monday night's game in the ninth inning, and he entered with an 8-3 lead, and the Rangers worked him, and Langford faced him, got a ground rule double, got a good swing off on him, and I think that no question that helped, because we talked about just a few days ago how Langford hasn't had the opportunity to build that Rolodex and see pitchers multiple times. Well, he'd just seen him 24 hours prior, and I think there's a comfort level there. He knew what the stuff looked like, the shape of the pitches, and if the umpire had called some strikes, some pitches that weren't
typical
strikes, maybe Wyatt Langford walks. But the point is, he didn't get rattled in that at bat, and so he showed some composure there, and of course he hit the ball a ton.
We looked at it. Clay Holmes leads MLB with 11 blown saves.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. 11. Yeah, and again, it didn't seem like in that ninth inning he could find the plate.
Oh, no.
Holmes. I mean, he was really struggling. He got some calls, but
I haven't seen him pitch enough to know one way or the other. I know that he started out well and things have kind of slid, and they have good setup guys. I don't know what they're going to do in the postseason. I would think, it kind of feels going way back. Jeff Russell was the Rangers closer in '96, and it had some ups and downs, but they stuck with him in the postseason. And it didn't go beyond the first series, but there were opportunities for Johnny Oates at the time to make a change, and he didn't. Aaron Boone may, I'm not sure, but I think that the Smith hurdle, the Kelly hit, the Pennington out, and then the fact that Langford had faced Holmes the night before really were kind of all played a role in that rally.
Jeff, did you talk to Walt last night at the clubhouse about?
Very briefly. He wasn't. I walked by, I congratulated him, and we're Colorado boys, so we got to hang together. And he congratulations. He goes, yeah, but I walked Soto. I was like, yeah, but you got Judge. You didn't get the guy you're supposed to, but you got the guy you had to. So
yeah,
good for him.
Absolutely good for him. Absolutely great game. And we've got, you said it, Jeff, earlier. You said you're only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. Well, the next day is today, and the starting pitcher is Nathan Eovaldi. The Rangers always feel good. They have for 2 years when Evo's heading out to the mound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he started against the Yankees earlier this year, and that's when he came up with the soreness on his right side. He threw like 80 pitches in 4 innings in a game the Rangers lost. So I'm sure he would like another crack at these guys. He always seems to do the best against the best. It seems to raise his level of focus, his intensity. He's intense enough and a great competitor. So the Rangers should feel good. They really should. And, it's a tough lineup. We've talked about it for the last couple of days, but you got your best going, and you need a chance to win the series. Who else would you rather have if you're the Rangers?
Well, let's talk about Judge and Stanton specifically against them because they've seen Evo a lot in their career. Judge is hitting .389 off Evo with 2 career home runs. Stanton .316, 4 home runs. Stanton has been on a little bit of a home run kick lately. Aaron Judge, not so much. Combined this series, he's 2 for 10 against the Rangers staff. So,
Wow.
yeah, they're finding a way to, shut down
Well,
the
and if they
MVP.
if Evo and the rest of the Rangers pitchers today keep Judge out of the seats today, it's the longest home run drought, if you will, 9 games
days.
of,
Roll my eyes.
of his season. So that's something.
Yeah.
They'd rather have a win and win another series.
And the Yankees would drop 3 consecutive series, and Orioles now leading the AL East right now with so
yeah, that's going to be a race
Yankees
all the
have a
way
lot
down.
at stake.
This is interesting too. The Yankees have the best road record in the major leagues, and so winning this series becomes even more of an accomplishment. So let's go Rangers, right?
I think there are a lot of Rangers fans in Maryland right now, and depending on probably a lot of Rangers fans outside of New York. Honestly, let's face it. You either love the Yankees or you despise them. So, but yeah, series one it'd be what the third in a row. Just keep the positive things going.
Yeah, fantastic.
That stadium got loud last night, though.
So great.
Literally, I ran to get like a drink or bathroom or something, and I just heard noise. Normally, when I hear noise, I'm like, oh, a home run. No, Aaron Judge got a single.
Wow.
And it sounded like
I hate
like
that.
a home run, So
I
it's
hate that. That's good,
yeah.
but that was good because in the end, who was cheering? Not those Yankees fans.
Oh no.
Rangers fans.
Right.
Awesome stuff,
Right.
Jeff. We appreciate you. Enjoy the game out there. We'll be watching here. We'll be chatting with you after the game right here on the DLLS Rangers podcast. We'll give you time to go figure out what's happening in the clubhouse. Hopefully, a happy clubhouse. We will see you then, Jeff. And this has been fun. I mean, it's fun to talk about a win. It's really fun to talk about a win like last night's.
No doubt. Play hard, have fun. I want to have a good post-game show. Let's go. We're going to eat some popcorn.
Yep, we got popcorn upstairs.
Yep.
And we're
I'm
going.
excited.
We're going to sit up there, watch Rangers, and be thrilled to come back and talk to you after the game. So that's going to do it for us. From here in our studios, it's the DLLS Rangers podcast. We'll see you post-game.
We all silly like the mayor.